Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 8 Ounces of Inspiration. And today we have with us a very dynamic entrepreneur, Varshika Jain, who is on a mission to make learning super fun for small children, to make reading fun for them, and to make them reading enthusiasts from an early age. We have Varshika, who is also a mother herself, and she is an entrepreneur, businesswoman, and travel enthusiast. She started the journey, her entrepreneurial journey, with her as a co-founder with Learn2Read.co, and today they are working with children from 35 countries and across all age groups, younger children, making learning and reading easy for them, making it more structured for them, and also creating a spark for them to have curiosity, for wanting to read, to expand their vocabulary, for wanting to read books after books and expand their horizon for creative imagination, which I think is really, really the most powerful tool and the gift that we can give to our little children. The power of reading and making reading fun for them. So thank you so much, Varshika, for taking out the time out of your busy schedule to be with us on this interview, to inspire other people and also to talk about the great work you're doing so they can also subscribe to your services and have a way to make learning fun for their children. I'll start. Firstly, welcome. And
Thank you so much, Nidhi, for your kind words. Totally my pleasure.
Varshika, we'll get started because I'm really, really curious and I'm very excited to know, how did this journey and start? I mean, how did your entrepreneurial journey start? What was the gap that you saw in the market that made you launch your venture in this space?
Okay, so Nidhi, there was definitely this gap between the traditional rote learning method of memorizing the spellings and doing stuff. And when I saw this, I realized that if we introduce phonics to children in the young age, it's going to become easy for them. It's going to be a cakewalk for them, and they don't have to follow the traditional rote learning method to mug up things.
Yeah.
And that gap was quite visible to me because I started with my own son. And from there, I could see that, there's a lot of gap which needs, when there was a need of it in the society.
And that brings me to this point, because usually, yes, we go through a pain point ourselves or an inconvenience, which makes us think of, oh my God, why doesn't something like this exist? Because then we look for ways where we can. So like you said, you started with your own son. So you definitely must have searched for, are there any people or services that are there that can help my son,
Yes.
get up
So
to reading?
Yes. So when he was 1 year old, I actually was searching, what I can do with him, what should I start with him? And that's when, I came across phonics, and it kind of fascinated me. I did multiple of international courses on the subject. I spent a lot of time on the internet surfing about the topic and, gaining more and more knowledge. And I started implementing on my son. And from there, I could see the difference in him. I could see that difference in him. And from there, I started then teaching my nephew and niece. And I could see that there's so much of gap. There was so much of demand. Their friends wanted to know from where are they learning.
Yeah.
And that's how, it just...
Yeah, absolutely. No, I definitely think, especially in India and especially in our traditional state board system or CBSE, or I was an ICSE student, so I can also say this, that we are taught to perform, not to enjoy, right? And they're especially reading, because I myself am a very big advocate of children getting habituated to reading at an early age, because they say, right, that books are your best friend. And if you have a book and if you love reading, you will never be lonely in life. You will never be alone. There'll always be this way to escape out of being alone through your books and getting into a different character, imagination, all of that. And especially where you started when you said, right, I know you're located in Rajasthan, that here English as a language itself, right, is a bit of a challenge and struggle because it's a more Hindi speaking dominated society. And mothers, when I moved here in Rajasthan, I realized that no matter which school I toured, whether it was an international IB school or a CBSE school, I struggled with the fact that they spoke primarily in Hindi, whether it was the classmates or whether it was the teachers, because the kids only understood that. And I think what you are providing through Learning to Read can really help the children to enjoy the language, to learn it in a very structured way, and then start to enjoy the school books because it all intertwines together, right?
Absolutely. So, Nidhi, it is a challenge till date to find a good teacher in Rajasthan, especially, good with that English
spoken
command.
English.
Yeah, that command over the language is still missing with teachers, and it's a challenge till date for me.
So I want to further this and ask you that when you started, so have you? This was your first on business journey.
Yeah, so I was working with a company where I already had that exposure of teaching online.
Okay.
So I started teaching online in 2018 when it was a challenge. It was so difficult to convince parents that yes, children can learn online. Then even when you convince them, the next problem is not necessarily they have a laptop or a spare, smartphone with high-speed internet in 2018-19. But I was confident, and slowly it just started falling in place. And to be honest, pandemic was a blessing in disguise for me, where I could see that, that demand roaring up, and I had to actually ask my husband and convince him and request him that please leave your job and take charge of this and help me in this.
Yeah. So I was just going to say that, that this pandemic actually must have really created a pent-up demand for your, platform, as well as given a lot of visibility and recognition on its own, right? Because then people are searching more on Google for what are the other classes they can do online and what are the things you can do. And I know that Learn to Read is a very, very popular platform because there are a lot of children who I know have subscribed to your subscription models and are doing this. As a mother, you're a parent, and I ask this to everyone who's a parent who comes on that podcast, that we always, as right from a young age, there are a few very strong characteristics or very strong traits that we want to inculcate in our children, right? And it could be anything. It could be like, look, you always have to be honest, or integrity, or you should be good in study, whatever it is, right? Share with us, because you have a son, that what are the two integral characteristics that you have instilled in him, or you have taught him to be?
So, Nidhi, one thing I actually, always tell him is that please read books. That is one thing I make sure that he's reading book every day, be it even for 15 minutes before going to bed. I always tell him don't run after marks. If you know the concept, I really don't care what marks are you getting. Even if you do a mistake there, but if you know the concept, I'm quite okay about it. And lastly, I just ask him that you need to be a good human being. That's it. Be humble and kind. Yeah. I always tell him, try to help your friends in school. The first question I ask him when he comes back home is, did you help someone today? Maybe with a pencil or eraser or,
whatever. Yeah.
So these are the few things I keep on repeating every day to him.
Wow. So with Learning to Read, are there, do you go in a structured form that that, okay, these are the books ultimately that are, read in CBSE curriculum or this, and this is what I should, you have your own?
No. So we have our own thing. It's nothing to do with what the school is doing. We have a different set of curriculum altogether. What we do is we help children how to decode the sounds.
Okay.
Right. So they don't have to mug up the spellings. Mm-hmm. We help them decoding what's a short vowel, what is a long vowel, how is a R controlling a vowel, or what is a magic E, the silent E, what is the role of that silent E. So once we explain them the concept, we help them decoding it, it becomes a cakewalk for them. They don't run away then because they know how to decode it and they are able to read it. But when they have to learn or mug up, it's where the struggle, begins. Since now the reading becomes easy for them, they start focusing on comprehending it. Otherwise, the shift was always on trying and struggling to read and not, able to comprehend. Now, since the reading has become easy, the second focus now they are trying to comprehend it, because now they know how to read it. They start focusing on comprehending the passage or paragraph of a book, whatever they are.
That's fantastic. So have you also graduated? Because I know, like as parents, right, if we like a particular service, we like a teacher, then we want to stick to that teacher and want them to do more and more things with that children. So I know you started with helping children read and, through phonics, but have you also graduated to now having special classes for spellings or for I don't know, something else? I don't know the way older.
We do have spelling courses. There are children, from grade 2, grade 3 struggling with spelling. So we do have a course on that where we just focus on helping them with, not to memorize the spelling, but how to decode and write the spelling.
That's wonderful.
So we have come up with Hindi as well, because I realized that English is of course, but then Hindi is also losing its essence, and though Rajasthan it is not, but other part of the country it is actually losing its essence.
In fact, I just wanted to ask you this, that do you also promote reading books in Hindi or Hindi reading, right? Because I remember as kids we read like Champak and Chanda Mama and all those Twinkle and stuff that came in Hindi, and I used to love those story books. But I know, like, I don't think my children now, they can probably still read Hindi because they've been in India and they've studied Hindi, but earlier I couldn't even fathom that they could be able to write a letter or, write or read in Hindi. So you do Hindi.
We do Hindi. We teach them how to read passages. But yeah, I have seen that with myself. I have never picked up a Hindi book for my son also. Whenever we go to crossword or online, it's always, the English books that we're looking for. Hindi, even I haven't picked up for my son. But yes, since I realized that gap again there, we just came 2 months back with Hindi. We're still in the process.
That's wonderful. And I think it will really pick up, especially with your international audience.
Yeah, and South Indian children, they struggle a lot.
Because having lived in the US and Singapore, and my children were there when they were little, I remember in Singapore, I used to drive them to another place where somebody used to give Hindi classes. And I remember my son was 4 years old. So imagine the effort taken by a parent just because they feel that Hindi is a way that the children can stay connected to the roots. We aspire that, right? So I think a lot of the international Indian diaspora audience will find a lot of comfort and convenience in your platform by subscribing to that and making sure that they don't have to drive their children down here. There's a platform here that can help their children learn Hindi in a fun way and read. Yeah,
absolutely.
So share with us some of the challenges that you have faced in your entrepreneurial journey.
As I told, convincing parents that we can teach online was the, biggest challenge. You have to convince them that, yes, it is possible. Back then when pandemic was not there. And then having high-speed internet, and, having a smartphone or a spare laptop also was a challenge at that point of time. But yeah, pandemic things just was, we had to, now we were not in a position where we need to explain parents that, the classes are going to be on Zoom, you need to download Zoom. They were well aware about it. They were well aware about it. But yes, in this journey till date, I faced challenge in finding good teachers.
Okay.
That's my biggest challenge. I feel that where I'm still, struggling finding that passionate teacher, good with, good command over the language, because I'm very fussy when I'm picking up my teachers. I don't know. I'm quite fussy.
That I think is the most important element of the entire business model.
That's what makes us different from other companies. And that's the till date challenge I face, is picking up my teachers.
Yeah, but I hope, with now online, like you said, having become a norm, your entire world opens up to getting teachers from anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world, absolutely. So
And
now
I
I'm
think that will make it easier for you now.
yes. So now we have students, as you said, from 35 different countries, and now we have started, hiring international teachers as well.
Wonderful. I think that's such a great thing because I personally am a very big advocate for women entrepreneurs. I'm always running these boot camps to tell women to either move into business or to move into work, even if it's part-time work. And I think a business model like yours opens opportunities for a lot of course, men and women, but a lot of women who may have taken career breaks, but are always motivated. And education is one line everyone is always it's always in us, and especially as moms, especially as women, we are always teaching, in some way or the other, subtly. So I think hopefully you'll get a very, very good group of teachers to match your exponential growth. Which brings me to the next question that I know you mentioned that you had to ask your husband to quit his job and join this so he could take care of the organizational growth while you worked on the core business model of it, right? The curriculums and stuff. So how has it been, the whole growth chart, and how is it working with your husband?
So it's been fantastic. I still remember that night when, I convinced him, and even I was not sure what if it doesn't work. Would he leave his, well-paid job? And I mean, we were also not very sure it's just because of the pandemic that there's so much demand, or, the surge will not be there once the schools reopen, or, things are back in place. But touch wood, by God's grace, we've just seen the graph going upward. And it's been fantastic with him. We both look after different, segments and different things. So, of course, there are a bit of overlapping of things, but we have a very
distinctive
different. Yes, it's absolutely different things that we're handling. So, yeah, it's quite fantastic to work with him. And I've realized that, now 24/7, I'm around him. So the moment he is not around, me, I start missing him. So it's kind of like that.
Wow.
Even if you step out for 1 hour, 2 hours, I'm like, where are you? When are you going to come back?
Well, that's wonderful, because I think together, like they say, right, you can be 1 and 1, or together you can be 11. And I think if you can work together cohesively as a couple or as friends or anything, then it just brings that much more momentum into the business, right? And that
yes, Nidhi, absolutely. We had our share of challenges and disagreements, but then, with that, we do come to a common point.
That's wonderful. And tell me this, that being a woman, right now you're financially independent, you're doing your own work, so you've seen the side of yourself, which earlier maybe wasn't there. Share with me, what are your thoughts on the importance of working for women, whether they work in a corporate world, whether they work in business or they start their own? Why is it so important for women to be financially independent and have that freedom?
Absolutely, Nidhi. I think this is so important. So when I started with this, and I realized that there must be so many women who want to work part-time and have that balance in their personal and professional life, is what motivated me to, create a lot of employment opportunity for women. So now my focus is always that I want to create a lot of employment opportunities, work from home, especially part-time for women. That's my greatest, motivation. And I think it does change a lot when you are earning yourself, you're confident. Number one, you're setting an example for your child. I think you are definitely setting an example for your child. Number two, when you are financially independent and stable and have that freedom, you are more confident. You can take bold decisions. I have seen women, being in a marriage all because they are not financially secure. They don't want to go back to their parents, neither they want to be with their husband, but because of the financial constraint, they are dragging their marriage and they're unhappy. So if one is, financially independent, they can be happy. And once we as a women are happy, we can keep people around us also happy, right? Our children, our family, our husband, our in-laws, everyone everyone will be happy if we are happy, satisfied, not looking for, small pennies and asking for husband for small things or fulfilling our small dreams and desires. So it does make a lot of difference.
Yeah, I know. I'm totally with you on this. I'm one of the biggest, I always say this, working is not an option. It's a must.
It's
How you want to work, with what flexibility, part-time, full-time, corporate, entrepreneurship, anywhere, social work, that's a choice that you make. But don't ever let go of the talent and the uniqueness that you have by just not even indulging in exploring it. Right? Because we all come with such strong sets of uniqueness. So moving from this, right? Now you earn yourself, you have some savings, I'm sure you do. Do you invest to grow your money? And if you do, and if you make any financial investments which have worked, or you think that I think this is the way I'm growing my money, share with the audience, because a lot of times we derive tips from when we hear others, which are tried and tested, and then we can incorporate it in our own financial planning, which I think a lot of women look forward to, learning from best practices. So share with us.
So absolutely, I take care of all my finances. And Nidhi, I think I'm not a FD person, not at all. I just don't do FDs. I'm not a LIC person. So my first thing I'd say is you should definitely have a term plan, number one. Number two, you should have a health insurance. Number three, I'm really, fascinated with the PPF, the Public Provident Fund. I somehow like that investment strategy because it is tax free, and it's you get ATC benefit in there. So I like PPF. I'm a hardcore equity investor, long-term equity investor. Had I not been into education field, I think I would have been doing something with the finance, somewhere.
In the financial world.
Handling people's portfolio and guiding them what to do, what not to do. Because I enjoy that a lot. I take care of my husband.
You've seen some good returns. Definitely the markets has been really good.
Absolutely. Equity returns are so phenomenal. Amazing.
Tell me something. So share with us maybe your top 3 stock picks.
I think I like HDFC Bank.
Okay.
Yeah. I would go with Bajaj Finance.
Okay.
Currently, I think I'm very I really liking the Tata Motors as well, as they're coming with the EV cars, which is the new upcoming thing. Yeah. So Tata Motors as well.
Oh, wonderful. So I hope these tips are going to help a lot of our, those who are listening to this podcast, that they can maybe start.
Yeah, but I would just add one thing, Nidhi. If we are not very sure about the equity investment, if we are not able to do our research, I think SIPs and mutual funds are the way to go, are a good bet, are the way to go. Yeah. So I do a lot of SIPs and mutual funds as well. And then so crypto is not for everyone, but then there is this FOMO in this crypto world. So my husband is doing crypto investment as well.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. So any good mutual fund SIPs that you can tell them to at least start looking at and doing their own homework to see that have worked for you?
HDFC Mutual Fund again is a very good tool.
It looks like you're a hardcore HDFC fan, follower, advocate. That's a good thing if it's worked for you. And I know, of course, it's very solid.
Nidhi, I think we need to trust the company and the management when you're investing. And I always look at it as, as my business. So you are buying a share of a company. Yeah. You are a part of that company. Even if it is just, 0.001%. But I always look at that way, that these 5 or 7 stocks, I'm a part of their business because I have their shares.
Yes,
absolutely. I'm actually, participating in the business in an indirect way.
Yeah. So tell me, because of course you are the reading platform and the learning platform is now really taken off, and you see a lot of subscribers. A lot of our audience today would probably be interested to at least go and explore what are the options there, what are the curriculums that you have, how do you teach, especially because it's more globally accessible. So what's the platform known as? And do you have an app?
Yeah, we don't have an app. We have a website. It's learn2read.co.
Okay.
Numeric 2. And we have our Instagram page with the same name. So these are the two places where they can reach out to us.
Okay.
And we kind of do a free demo so that the parent and the child can see the teacher. But the demos are equally important for us because we assess the child, check their current reading level, and guide them which course to go for. Because we have different courses for different age groups, depending on their current reading level.
Wonderful. So you can match it. So what I'm going to do is I'm definitely, of course, going to put all your Instagram handle as well as your website on the bio link. So if anybody's interested and they would like to explore or even get in touch with Varshika to see which would be the best course for their children or their friends, kids or nieces and nephews, please feel free to do that. Coming to my last question. Since reading is such a big passion with you too, share with us a quotation maybe from a book or just otherwise that is stuck to your heart, something that you probably quote a lot yourself, you know, when we're talking to kids or otherwise, and something that has really struck chord with you.
Okay. So two things that I would mention here. Number one, believe you can and you're halfway there is I always go by it. And number two is that I'm a very quick decision maker. So don't waste time in overthinking and just take that bold decision, and trust me, it's gonna work for you.
Yeah.
So Learn to Read was something like that, maybe, where at 10:30 on my bed, I'm just telling Nitin, I want to start this now. I want to start with this. And raat ko hi I started with the Instagram page, the Facebook page, the website in place, and it was a quick decision of 5 minutes. Even Nitin, deciding to leave his job was a quick decision for us. We decided and we were like, we're going to stick with that.
Wow. And I want to also touch upon this, that you're a travel enthusiast. I know you love traveling and you do. So tell us some do you travel globally? Is it more in India? What kind of travel do you like?
So I think it's a mix of both. Last 2 years have been a lot of, India travel. And I always make sure that I am traveling with my son. I personally feel that they learn a lot when they're traveling. As I don't want him to be, a bookish child, I take him to places and I show him, like if he's reading about Taj Mahal, he's reading about the Golden Temple. We make sure to visit there and show him in real. Yeah. And I feel like he's learning a lot from that exposure.
Yes. Those experiences are amazing. Well, wonderful. Because I share this passion of traveling with, just as much. So it was really exciting for me when I read that, wow, you're a travel enthusiast. And I'm like, oh, wow, there's somebody else also, probably. And I always say this, that I literally save half of my income only for my travels. And
Same here. Same here. They would compromise on buying those designer saris or maybe a piece of jewelry, and I would exchange it for a flight ticket.
Absolutely. I'm with you on this 100%. But it was such a pleasure speaking with you, Varshika, and it was just so inspiring to know the great work that you're doing. Not just helping kids becoming reading enthusiasts, and opening a world of infinite possibilities and imagination for them for their lifetime, but also creating a business model where you are promoting women to come back to work, part-time work, those who have taken a career break, and to create a sense of purpose in their life. And working with children is always something very therapeutic and fun for any woman, right? So I think you're doing such great work on both sides, the community side as well as, of course, for the life of the child. So a big kudos to you and thank you so much. Thank you for being with us and wishing you lots of good luck, many more countries to expand your work into, to scaling up like a hockey stick growth, like Amazon and Google. That's one of my favorite sessions that I do with startups when I'm, doing my L&Ds with them, that focus on the hockey stick growth. If they could do it, so can you. And well, we look forward to many new and good programs, as well as more bilingual programs in different languages coming to Learn to Read. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nidhi. Thanks a lot.